Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to today's live session. I'm very excited for the amazing conversation that we are going to have today because finally we are going to crack the code of motivation and what it really takes for you to unlock peak performance. And this whole idea has quite a bit of an interesting backstory for me because now we are seeing a world where there are two ways that people look at motivation. The first way is there are pages on Instagram and on YouTube and social media that hype up motivational content, that give you a push, that tell you, what are you doing? Get up, you can do it, and you're this and you're that. And all of that's great. We need that energy. But because of that energy and because of the way those pages are structured, what often happens is people look at motivation in a very negative light nowadays. And the negative light is this: it's just temporary. It's nothing. It's unnecessary. Motivation never really works. Motivation is temporary. What happens is that I get some motivation for some time, then again I lose track, then again I procrastinate, then again I'm inconsistent. And I agree with all of those issues too. Because all of those problems happen when we rely only on temporary motivation. And that's why, when I was seeing this dichotomy going on, for me, for the longest time, there was one idea that felt slightly discomforting. That idea was the whole field of motivational speaking. I got introduced to self help because of it. I still remember, though, at the age of 12, this was sixth grade classroom. Yes, I still remember that the first day. Everybody's in their classroom. The teacher's asking us, who do you want to be when you grow up? Everybody's saying engineer, doctor, F1 driver, all the stuff. I get up and I say, I would want to be a motivational speaker. There's dead silence in the class the moment I said that because half the people didn't even know what I was talking about. And the other half that did, they silently laughed and they silently mocked because in our minds, the idea of motivation has been warped in such a way that we don't even think of it as an important thing right now. And yet, what we do is we keep chasing temporary motivation only. We look at a story and we say, oh, I'm motivated now, I'm going to do it. We look at someone who's doing better than us, and even though we may be acting out of jealousy or insecurity, we still think and we say, okay, I'm motivated now, I'm going to make it happen. Well, the problem is not in motivation. The problem is not in how or why it feels. The problem is in the way we are understanding it, because motivation has always had this temporary negative connotation to it as a word. I sometimes didn't feel very confident in using that word because I thought, I don't want to align with that image of someone who just walks up on stage, does a bit of rah rah for some time, then gets everybody dancing, and then that's it. I didn't want to be that person. I wanted to be an architect of transformation. And that's when I realized real motivational speakers do just that. They don't give tricks. They don't give tricks or tips or techniques and all these other temporary solutions. Yes, there is the energy. Yes, they help people learn better. But what they really do is they inspire change, because if you look at the word motivation, today I want you to understand it from a whole new lens, something you may not even have thought of before. Because still today, the word motivation only means one thing to a lot of us: temporary rise in energy, temporary rise in, how I'm feeling and how I'm looking at my goals and all that. That's not motivation. I want you to break this word down, okay? There's two parts to this word. The first part is motive, and the second part is the extension, which makes it a noun. Now, motive is a word, it's a feeling, it's an action, it's the reason why you are doing what you are doing. Everything we do has a motive. And motivation, if we now look at it from this different lens, is just the act or the process of using that motive to create the energy that leads us to our goals. That's motivation, because it's powered by a motive. Yet, what we have done is we have externalized motivation, and we have thought of it as just somebody giving us energy and somebody saying a few inspiring words, and that's it. No, that's not motivation. What a coach does, what a speaker does, what even a motivational speaker does is not just to, get on stage and do this, but to actually help you connect your motives, your why, your purpose, your drive for life with your goals and help you create that fulfilling life. And now, this is where we go wrong in the first step itself. First of all, our definition and understanding of motivation is wrong. We think of it as the temporary energy when it's actually much more deeper, when it connects with our purpose, it connects with our why, and motivation is the reason we do things. Motivation is the reason we do things. It's not that to do things we need motivation. Motivation is the real incentive that you have. Now, I'm connecting the dots back again. I want you to really understand this. It seems a bit confusing when we hear it for the first time because we're just used to that old definition of motivation. But really, motivation is not just about raising your energy, motivation is about alignment. And that's what I want to talk with you right now, because it's an act of aligning your motives with your goals. And the people who make it the biggest in life, what I've personally experienced myself, what I'm helping people create is that they use their motivation to create alignment in who they are, who they want to be, and who they think they can be. So their past, their present, their future is all aligned in one way of thinking, believing, and acting. Look at any successful person, look at anyone who inspires you, and you will notice this pattern in them. That what got them past was not temporary motivation, but a permanent state of motivation that existed deep within because of the inherent alignment that was there between who they are, who they've been, the goals that they have, and what they're willing to achieve. In fact, I recently did this experiment while I write my journal every night. I make a lot of notes and a lot of records about how I felt, what was going on, how my energy was like. And yes, I am an imperfect human too, so I do have my days where things kind of take a downturn for me. But rather than letting that be my permanent state, I bounce back and I reflect on it. But it's good to have those track records. So this is the journal that I write in. And I was just flipping through the pages, reflecting, and I did a bit of a anecdotal case study. And the case study was this. I was looking at the days when I wrote how I felt, how much work I got done, how aligned I was, or how much I was not, and just overall my levels of interest, action, motivation, everything. I make those notes very organically. So as I was reading that, right, I noticed a very quick pattern. There were many days when I was highly motivated in terms of just the temporary energy. Okay, when I was looking at motivation from that lens and just I watched someone's video or I watched a podcast or I just got done with a book and I'm like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Now everything's going to be different. When I'm in that kind of a zone and I still go in that kind of a zone, I do get that energy. I do get that boost. But at the end of the day, it kind of exhausts me and I feel that something is missing, something's not right. But I won't write this. I'll write, yeah, it was a great day, kind of exhausting, kind of overwhelming, but I'm good. That's what I'll write. But I've learned to see through my own, I would say, euphemistic language with myself. I've learned to see through that. So even when I'm reading my own thing, I know exactly how I was feeling. And then I figured out there were days and there were weeks and there are many periods, especially when I worked much harder, slept much less, and still felt full of energy. And those days, I wasn't necessarily the most motivated in terms of energy. On those days, the biggest difference was I was fully aligned with who I wanted to be. There were no internal conflicts, there were no challenges. My motives in my life for that day, whatever it may be, were being fulfilled, were aligned with the actions that I was taking, they were aligned with the thoughts that I was having. And that's why I want to say this to you. First of all, get the false idea of motivation out of your head. As long as you're holding on to that false definition, it's only going to fail you. It's never going to work. Second of all, stop focusing on getting that temporary motivation. Instead, bring your focus back to what your motive, your why, your purpose, your drive for life is. I know this may seem unnecessary, but this really is the foundation of it all. And then ask yourself every single day, am I aligned to that? Or am I living a life misaligned to that just because my comforts lie somewhere else? It's a pretty tough question to ask. But the moment you ask yourself that question, you will notice the little snap that happens in your soul each time you betray yourself. That little shrinkage of energy and trust in yourself that happens when you break your promises to yourself. That's going to stop when you start valuing your word, when you start valuing yourself, and when you start focusing on creating an aligned life rather just a successful life. I've seen so many people, incredible lives, incredible homes. I was recently talking to someone. They have, I think they told me this. The home was what, about 3.6 or $3.9 million of worth, a big 7 bedroom bungalow in the on the east coast of the United States. Incredible home, incredible life, and yet the challenges are the same, the problems are the same. Why? Because they built the success, they did not build the alignment. And the alignment is what matters the most, be it in your relationships, be it in your career, be it in any and every aspect. If you're misaligned, your life's going to be exhausting. You can go to as much temporary motivation as you want, but as long as you avoid the real definition of getting to the core of your motives and working on that and aligning that, things are not going to work out. And I know a lot of times people ask me, Prabhsimrat, what's the best way to create that alignment? And I'll be honest with you, the best way to create that alignment is through coaching. Because there are times in our lives when we need that support, when we need that push, when we need someone who's walked the path to show us where we may be falling short. So in just a few months you can fast track your growth and create the magic that you want in your life. I've done that with over 200 people now, and if you'd like, the link is there in the description. Fill the form, sign up. I'll get in touch with you soon and we'll make this transformation happen. If you're ready to invest in yourself and you're committed to that growth, I'm telling you this. Start focusing on this new definition of motivation. Start working on that foundational alignment. And then the success you create is going to come to you much faster. And then it's going to feel way more fulfilling too. I'm here to help you make that magic happen. We'll be working one on one, and I'm excited for the journey that will be there. For those of you who are ready to commit to your learning and growth, both in terms of time and both in terms of an investment in yourself. But for those of you who are just tuning into the live session today, I still want to make this super practical for you so you can continue to grow, learn, and succeed. Now, just like I did, the easiest way for you to build that alignment is to get in touch with the conversations you have with yourself. Start journaling, start documenting. See where you're falling short, see where you're not, see where you need to take more actions to grow. And the day you get that clarity is the day you will start noticing the patterns that you are going through. I'll agree, it's a bit of a slow process, but in life, there is no quick pill, right? Again, this is not that classic motivational video where I give you the quick pill and you're sorted. No, we're doing these live sessions, we're building on top of one another so that we are aiming for that longer term vision of clearing your foundation and helping you get newer perspectives that expand your life. Because temporary boost of energies is not what we need. What we need are new perspectives, new systems, new foundations, and new clarity. And on top of that, then a whole new life gets built. What we are starting with today is the new perspective that you actually don't need temporary motivation. You need alignment to create your success. Because then, when your mind, your body, your soul are aligned and one with the action, you enter the state that we call flow or we call creativity. I used to think it's by hit, it's by chance, like, it just happens. But now I've been able to figure it out. When you create conscious alignment, you can create a flow state anywhere you want, in anything you want, and you can achieve massive productivity by fully aligning your energies to the present moment. I experience that every time I'm doing these sessions. I experience that every time I log into a call with my clients, and I experience that every time I'm on the keyboard and I'm just typing away my thoughts. And in less than 30 minutes, then I have an article, a newsletter right in front of me that helps me convey my thoughts to people in the best way possible. And every week, my creativity only improves, it doesn't go down. Now, how does that happen? It doesn't happen by fluke. It doesn't happen by temporary motivation. Because I'll be honest, there are times when I just don't feel like opening up the laptop and writing. But I know my motives are clear, my purpose is clear, my vision is clear. So I'm able to show up. The first step to creating that clarity, get in conversations with yourself, know yourself, talk to yourself. Journaling is the best way to do that, because then you have a track record too that you can flip through, that you can understand, that you can decode to figure out where you might be going wrong, where your alignment is a bit out, and how you can bring it back in so you are aligning to the best version of yourself. You are creating the success that is meant for you. If you're enrolling in the coaching, if you're filling out the form, then we're going to make this a super fast process. And I'm very excited for you to make that change happen. I hope today was valuable. I hope you got some more insights into where a lot of us genuinely, like, we fall apart, we go wrong, because we think temporary motivation is the answer, but it's not. As I told you, alignment is. So the question for you to ponder upon, maybe use this as your reflection and journaling prompt for tonight, and that is, where am I being a bit misaligned that I would like to bring back to line? And the moment you think that, the moment you wonder about that, the moment you're honest with yourself about that, that's the most important thing. If you're deluding yourself, nobody can do anything. Even you cannot do anything. And you will know I'm deluding myself. So just stop falling into that trap. Be real with yourself. Don't cut yourself slack. Be harsh with yourself if you need to. And allow yourself to see the truth. The moment you do, everything in the world will open up in a super amazing and a super bright way. Thank you so much for tuning into this live. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you tomorrow once again at the same time. That is 8:30 p.m. IST. Bye. See you soon.